The Southern Africa Development Community Vision 2050 and the SADC Region Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2020 to 2030 both aim at deepening regional integration by, among other things, promoting an inclusive, competitive, middle to high income industrialized region. The major pillars of SADC Vision 2050 are industrial development and market integration, infrastructure development in support of regional integration, and social and human capital development. Our reporter Henry Haukea appreciates some of the steps SADC has been undertaking towards the attainment of this region's dreams through some of the pillars.
The eighth stretch between Kiera in Tanzania and Takisia River in Kaporo Karonga district in Malawi is a busy road. For some traders, it is shorter and cheaper, while others use it to smuggle goods across the Malawi-Tanzania border. With no bridge on this river, these drinks and many other goods have been transported to and from Malawi and Tanzania on bicycles, ox carts, canoes, and on foot. This informal exchange of goods between people of Tanzania and Malawi and many other countries in the SADC region has been going on for years. It is for this reason that in 1996, the SADC Protocol on Trade was signed in Maseru, Lesotho. One of the steps under the protocol is the establishment of the Free Trade Area Agreement. Humphrey Polepole is Tanzanian High Commissioner to Malawi, and he explains the importance of this agreement.
It is a platform and an opportunity for African countries to trade amongst themselves. It is the most notable model for having businesses and trade prosper and flourish within the African continent. So it's a framework for Africans to trade amongst each other. The volume of trade between Africa and the rest of the world and intra-Africa, which means within Africa, is very negative. So we trade more with outside Africa than we are trading within Africa. That makes African continent very prone to external shocks. So if something happens, like now there's a war between Ukraine and Russia, we are prone to that shock. But if we had self-sufficiency in terms of products that are traded within the continent, whether they fight 24/7 outside Africa, the African continent would continue to be secure. So Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a way to go. We just have to be serious about it, and we have to move fast. You have countries like Egypt. They need wheat, and they import it from Ukraine. But you have wheat in Tanzania. You just have to get it from Africa, Dar es Salaam port, all the way to Cairo. And then, so we have more. The share of business, the intra-trade within Africa, the share of export business within Africa is about 15 to 20% compared to the export business out of Africa to the rest of the world, which is about 90 to 80%. And that is the reason when they fight, trouble is in Africa.
Two of the main pillars of the SADC Vision 2050 are industrial development and market integration, and infrastructure development in support of regional integration. Effective trade between countries relies on easy movement of goods between them. It is for this reason that SADC initiated development corridors which are meant to facilitate easy movement in the region. Jacob Buhara is the Minister of Transport and Public Works in Malawi. He says the importance of the corridors cannot be overemphasized.
Everything that we rely on, if we talk of imports, talk of exports, we have to think of the Indian Ocean. But we don't have a coast on the Indian Ocean. So we have to rely on our coastal neighbors for us to access the Indian Ocean. Even for us to access the fertilizers that we're talking about. Most of the things that we need the Indian Ocean, because that's what links us to the rest of the world. Lots of people go do business in Dubai, in other countries. What they need is the Indian Ocean. But we can't get there unless our colleagues, for example, from from Mozambique or Tanzania, give us a right of way so that we can pass through their country and access the coast. But we are better off. Talk of countries like Zambia. They need, number one, us to let them pass through Malawi before they even pass through Mozambique to access the shortest route to the Indian Ocean. But because we don't have that provision, now they have to go all the way around Malawi, all the way to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. It's a much longer route. If, for example, we developed a corridor like Mtwara Corridor, it gives us access to the Indian Ocean. It's a shorter route, especially the northern side of Malawi where we are now. But that is also giving Zambia a very good access to the coastal, the Indian Ocean coast through Mozambique and through Malawi. So such corporations and such regional corridors, you can never overemphasize their need and their usage.
Augusto Ferro is the project manager for Beira Corridor and says Mozambique embraced the initiative for the development of its own economy.
Esta iniciativa é baseada na experiência da África do Sul e nós, como país, também adotamos esta ferramenta para o desenvolvimento das nossas economias.
Luis De Como is an entrepreneur, while Horatio Magares runs Nkomazi filling station along the Beira Corridor. As for them, they have already started reaping fruits from the corridor initiative.
Em termos percentuais, vou dizer 90% são moçambicanos que transportam as mercadorias do Porto da Beira para o Malawi, para Zâmbia, para a República Democrática do Congo. Eu quero encorajar que aos moçambicanos, aos sul-africanos, aliás, a todo mundo em geral, que temos que fazer negócio. Negócio é muito bom, porque nós ganhamos, os clientes ganham, o país ganha. Exatamente.
Nós temos várias valências, portanto, nós temos parqueamento de caminhões, temos espaço para cerca de 150 caminhões, em que os camionistas podem dormir, podem também lavar a sua roupa, cozinhar. Para além disso, têm o apoio de toda a parte de restauração, condições para crescer muito em termos de transportes e em termos de coisas que vêm para o Porto da Beira, e é a principal distribuição de bens e combustíveis e etc. para toda esta, e até para o Zimbábue. Portanto, aqui o Porto da Beira é muito importante a nível de comércio para todas esta região.
The construction of the Mwami-Nchinji one-stop border post on the Malawi-Zambia border therefore underlines the region's commitment to improve trade in the region. Speaking during the official opening of the post, the President of Malawi, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, said the development will help improve economies of the two nations as well as that of the SADC in general.
This one-stop border post is good news for travelers. Good news for traders. Good news for our economies. It's good news for regional, cultural, and economic integration. It is good news for investors. It is good news for neighborly harmony and solidarity. This one-stop border post brings to us 6 other practical benefits. One, it brings convenience for travelers and drivers, who now need only make a single stop to be processed through. Second, it brings streamlined processes by consolidating border control functions so that exit and entry formalities are done simultaneously in a shared space. And 3, it brings professional trust between the border officials of our two countries through their shared use of border infrastructure and system procedures. And fourthly, it reduces border delays substantially by slashing time it takes to cross the borders. Almost 100%, they said, 70% some, but it could still be less because of the way that they are diligently seeking to reduce this time further, which means a reduction in transit costs. And fifthly, it promotes coordination in the facilitation of trade, the movement of persons, and the improvement of security. And sixthly, it accords dignity to our peoples in the quality of public services delivered to them as they move between our two countries.
His Zambian counterpart, President Hakainde Hichilema, said the post will not only facilitate movement of goods between Malawi and Zambia, but other countries in the region.
But the reason every of these facilities you see have been put up is to ease the movement of goods, not just between our two countries, Malawi and Zambia, but the goods coming from the wider areas. That's right. Mozambique from this end. And I know at some point, through some routes, Zimbabwe as well. I'm also aware that on the northern side, it is Zambia, Tanzania, and Mr. President, I must say, Rwanda, Burundi, and beyond. That's the importance of this facility to help grow our economies.
In September 2022, SADC launched an electronic version of Certificate of Origin, which is a certificate that accompanies goods to identify their origin. The certificate is called SADC Electronic Certificate of Origin, ECOO. Sadwig Ntonakunta is the Director of Finance, Investment and Customs at the SADC Secretariat.
The current practice is that the Certificate of Origin is generated manually, and that is prone to a number of challenges like counterfeiting and all that. And if one processes it manually and it goes to, say, a tax administration, the tax administration has to verify it, whether it is authentic or not, and that takes time. And to a business person, that is costly. So using an e-certificate, we are trying to do away with these challenges, which include counterfeiting. But more importantly also is to say somebody can apply it while he's in his office. And that cuts on costs and brings efficiency to the business person himself or herself.
The steps above are among the many that SADC is undertaking in order to achieve the Southern Africa Development Community Vision 2050 and the SADC Region Indicative Strategic Development Plan RISDP 2020 to 2030. It is the vision of the SADC leadership that by 2050, these traders in Karonga and many others in the region will move their goods easily without infrastructure barriers like roads, bridges and many other hurdles. According to information sourced from the African Futures ISS website, the total population of SADC in 2019 was 354 million and is expected to increase to 618 million by 2043. In 2019, SADC region had an aggregated economy standing at $924.3 billion and was projected to reach $2,146.2 billion by 2043. By 2020, the SADC region GDP stood at $657,424 million, while the total intra-SADC merchandise trade was at $58,745 million. Total merchandise trade was at $317,676 million and foreign direct investment stood at $6,620 million. Henry Haukea, MBC News, Mzuzu.